We are just a bunch of cliches trying to get through this one-note movie. We are just trying to get through this film called Requiem for a Scream. It's a Tubi original directed by Ben Meyerson, who did movies such as, and I wrote all these down because I couldn't fucking believe just how many movies he's churned out. Kill Thy Neighbor, Killer Reputation, The Wrong Daughter, The Wrong Husband, Kidnapped by a Classmate, A Bride's Nightmare, and Deadly Girls Night Out, and other movies. Seriously, take a look at the IMDb page there. It's a good thing that he's made a career out of making schlock, because with movies like that, I don't know what else he could make. Written by two people. Two people wrote this. Maybe they took turns after they passed out from a goddamn drug binge. I'm just going to assume that for no reason. Andre Puka and Jordan Robinson. Jordan Robinson did a movie called Dangerous Snow Day. You know, I'm familiar with the position Dangerous Snow Day, but I can't talk about that until the cases are settled. So, remember Nova from the Sharknado movies? Cassie Sherbo, the absolutely gorgeous woman that she is? Yeah, she's the name actress in this, and she plays Artemis, and she is kind of distant from her family, basically. She's an opera singer, but maybe she doesn't want to be an opera singer. She lost her sister, Emily, recently, and she goes with her friend Shira, played by Georgia Leva, who wants to, they basically go up to this old vacation home that has been well maintained, shockingly, even though it seems like they haven't been there for a bit, but they go up there because she's taken her sister's ashes and she wants to spread them around because it's where they have so many memories, and leave the memories alone. And a bunch of friends arrive. Some friends that, you know, have grown distant, and then one girl that I'm amazed she was ever part of the group. That's Alex, played by India McGee, not McGee from NCIS, because if you tried to slap her upside the head, you would have hurt your hand on all that hair. Nevertheless, they're friends that used to know each other in high school. And also there are issues that get exposed during this movie. And, oh yeah, there's a killer around, obviously, because this would not be a happy-go-lucky movie if it was called Requiem for a Scream and it was a musical. Maybe it could be a horror musical like Repo the Genetic Opera. Anyway, enough about that movie, even though it had Sarah Brightman in it, which was one good thing. This, there's a killer that, well, he creates symphonies by basically adding people's screams to music tracks. That's pretty much it. And it turns out that he was using this vacation home for his latest masterpiece, and he lost an SD card. And he is trying to look for this SD card. Yet he somehow never thought to look on the goddamn floor after committing his latest atrocity. So he's nearby, he finds out where the card is, and he wants it back. And then more people start getting offed, and the survivors have to figure out how can they last through this whole damn thing. Can they die in the dumbest ways possible? Yes, the answer is yes. And can they do the dumbest things possible so they die in the dumbest way possible? Yes. Absolutely fucking yes. If you haven't figured out by now, I hated this fucking movie. Not that I expected much from a Tubi original, because let's be perfectly honest, stuff like Unborn, Titanic 666, and recently reviewing Shark Side of the Moon. Shark Side of the Moon, sadly, was probably the best of them, despite the fact it was not scientifically even close to being accurate. It was really goddamn bullshit with a bunch of plot holes, but again, it's called Shark Side of the Moon. This is just a straight-up killer killing people. That's pretty much it right there. And also, it's only 80 minutes, and the fact that this movie barely had enough material for 50 was definitely telling. They had some montages to stretch this motherfucking shit out, and you don't get any sense of cohesion between the friends. It's basically just, oh, we're friends, and no, now we're going to argue about this, and oh, it turns out all this stuff happened centered around Emily. They all knew Emily. This is a strange thing that happened to Emily, even a sick thing that happened to Emily when she was younger. Good old VHS shout out right there. And then the parents are far away, but then they decide to show up. Actually, the dad decides to make his way downtown or uptown. Maybe he's looking for the uptown girl because she's living in bumfuck nowhere. I know that's not how the lyrics work, but nevertheless. The killer's stupid. Everybody in this movie is stupid. And the deaths are just absolutely fucking hilarious. Yeah, they try to put a threadbare plot, forward. They try to push it forward with a twist. A twist that really doesn't mean anything. Sure, it gives the killer motivation, I guess, but he's not interesting, so why the fuck would I care? And also the ending is just fucking hilarious. So I am going to get into spoilers, but if you have Tubi, it's free. You have to put up with ads, but you get a lot of shit. it's really actually a pretty damn good service in all honesty. I know there are other ad-based services out there like Plex TV and others that I probably should look into getting. But Tubi, if you can put up with some ads, they got some pretty damn good stuff, and they have schlock like this. It's really goddamn bad. Really, really, really fucking bad. So yeah, I'm going to get into spoilers now. 3, 2, 1. Spoilers. Okay, so there's this side story about that Artemis was telling her friend Shira, oh yeah, until about 30 years ago, there were a bunch of hillbilly rednecks that owned this land, and then a realtor bought all this property up, and then we bought some of the property. And gee, I wonder if you can guess how the killer's tied into this. He's tied into this because him and his dad were kicked off that land when Caleb the Killer was only 6. Maybe it's Caleb Killer Comedy. KKK, that's not good. And it turns out that's why he was killing people and why he wants to target Artemis. And there was this one funny moment a little bit earlier on. He was listening in on this walkie-talkie, which meant he had earpieces in, like all the stuff's like he can talk through that and he can hear everything they're saying. Well, they decided to use feedback as a way to try and disrupt him. And he is unable to hear out of one ear suddenly. So that was great. It was the least that they could do after he slit the neck of Artemis's best friend and then also hung up the lone gay guy in the movie, or at least the lone mostly openly gay guy, and hung him up and killed him in a humorous way. It's just humorous how everybody died in this. Like one person avoided a death trap, or a bear trap rather, and then Artemis actually got her foot caught in it after saying to Shira, don't do that shit. Watch out for bear traps. Watch out for snakes. So everybody ends up dying, and even though her dad gets there, the sheriff arrives. He traced the call. The sheriff is the killer, and then the killer decides to just basically take them all out. He gets hit in the hand with a nail gun, yet somehow overpowers his one character, Declan, and stabs him through the eye with a fireplace poker. It almost reminds me of how stupid the people were in Satan's Little Helper, but this movie didn't frustrate me nearly as much, though now that it reminded me of Satan's Little Helper, I probably should find copies of this movie and burn them. But nevertheless, I'm not going to do that. There was at least some effort put into this. There wasn't much, a fraction, but nevertheless. They're now paired together. The, father and daughter staring each other down, much like the beginning of the movie, were just two nameless people that we found out later where Harper and Will, they got killed because they couldn't sing properly. But since Artemis is a singer, an opera singer, she does a high vocal scream. And then the dad ends up sacrificing himself, gets punched repeatedly in the face, so he dies. But she takes the gun, the flare gun, shoots off a flare. That ends up alerting the police. But she gets stabbed in the chest and she's done. Oh no, she's done. She's totally done. She's dead. Caleb's in this RV that he stole from some people after he caught them vacationing and pinned them down and then killed them. And he's sitting in the RV and he got away with it. And then somehow Artemis is alive and shoots him. I don't know how the fuck she survived that. I don't really fucking care. That was 80 minutes with enough material for 50. And that might even be being generous. It gets an F. Of course it gets an F. I need to start choosing better stuff than schlock to review, but of course I'm not going to learn my lesson. I'm probably going to review more schlock coming up. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.